I'm starting. Hello, ladies. I think we're all ladies. I'm not sure. Maybe we're not. Should not be.
Evening, Millie.
Hello. Hi. Oh, look,
Hi.
familiar faces. Thanks for
Hello.
joining.
Evening.
Hello. Hi.
Hello from
Right.
Edinburgh.
Okay. Look. So, um, normally when I'm on these Zooms, they're for cows, and I've got a very definite plan of what I'm going to cover. Um, Tonight, I don't really know what you guys need to know. So it's going to be a lot of question and answer, and I'll try and answer, but maybe other people can answer because I know some of you have already got started with your lovely yarn. But I'd like to sort of just leave it more up to you for your specific questions, and maybe you've got a question about a pattern that you'd like to tackle. So how we'll do it, if you don't mind, is if you've got a question, it'd be easiest if you could put your hand up with the little hand up icon. So anyone that's not all that familiar with Zoom, you might want to sort of look for it. It's at the bottom of the screen and in one of the menus there where you can like put, and what that does is it puts you at the front of, because there's lots of faces here, it puts you at the front of my screen so that I can refer to you and I'll spotlight you so everyone can see you and we can go from there if that's all right. And if you can't see the hand up icon, that's all right. You can just interrupt me and or just like wave your arms about and see if someone notices you. There's also the chat. I am notoriously crap at reading anything that happens in the chat. So if some of you are reading and you notice that I need to address something, then just let me know. But this is very informal because, it's Bank Holiday weekend and we all don't want to be stuck on Zoom. So I'm going to answer your questions as best I can. First of all, though, thank you for buying the yarn and taking the risk of buying something that is very I don't know, like just different. Like it took me a long time to sort of develop it, and it's not like anything else really, isn't it? Not even like any of the other unspun yarns that are out there. And obviously a big thank you to everyone that has donated to my giant row. I really, really appreciate it. So right, let's get going. Celia, you've got your hand up. I can see you're up there. So I'm gonna spotlight you.
Thank
And when I spotlight you, oh,
you.
you've unmuted yourself. Thank you. Yeah, you'll want
Yeah,
to
I
unmute yourself.
do. Thank
Hi,
you. Hello, how are you?
I'm
How's the
well. How are
rowing? How's the
you?
rowing rehearsal practice? I saw you
Oh,
online with a giant man who's like 7 foot tall. That's the last
yeah.
thing I.
Yeah, he is my actual competition, or one of my actual like rivals. So
Right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You'll be fine, you'll be fine.
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
Um,
bye.
so my question is, so I was going to do this one, which is the Paulina vest,
Yeah, right, lovely.
and I've got my delicious cake here.
Amazing. Okay.
So my question is, because when I first started to use it, it broke. And
Yeah,
you know, some yarns you start in the middle, you pull it up from the middle and it unwinds.
right.
You start on the outside and it unwinds. I couldn't work out where it unwinds from, and
Yeah,
every
really
time I
good
tried to
question.
start it, it broke.
Yeah.
So I got
So,
scared of it.
and especially with a cacao. So, with all of these, don't center pull because it can't handle the friction from the middle. So, go from the outside. And with
Yeah.
the really, really dark brown, the cacao, this one, which is by far the softest, your first few strands on the outside will be quite fragile. So, all I did was wind those on and
Yeah.
save them for if I really needed them right at the end, because by then you'll be an expert. But I just sort of wound them on until I could see that they were a bit more stable and go from there. And then when you're knitting from this, especially the brown, but all of them, what you don't want to do is have it here on the cake and be pulling it directly from the cake. So
Ah.
if you just unwind it a little bit like this, just a couple of rounds, and then have it just piled on top of the cake or just
Yeah.
by your
Millie,
side,
could
then
you
you should.
spotlight yourself so we can see you bigger? So,
Yeah, 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 absolutely. I can't see myself now,
Ugh.
so let me just, where am I? I can't see myself at all. There I am. Thank you. Yeah, I will. So yeah, so if you when you have your cake like this, all I was saying was that you'll see this one is obviously I've only got a little bit left. This is everything that
Right.
I had left from the dazzler that I made,
Yeah.
which was one cake, and I still had quite a lot
That's
left here.
that's a lot left. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
quite a lot, isn't it? And also, I'd done some swatching with it, but so I wouldn't worry too much. And I'll address
Did
why
you
there's
use
so
a
much left.
fingering weight with it? Because I've got Rowan Pure Life, which I think might be too thick, and I wonder if I should get a merino instead.
Okay, so we'll talk about that in a sec, but I just want to put, because I wasn't highlighted, all I was doing was just like pulling it off the cake like this, just gently, and then you just leave it piled on top like that, and you should work from it like that, because if you take it from here and you start yanking it like this, it will just
Yeah.
do that. So, and
Mm.
you'll see that. And when
Yeah.
it does that, it's not the end of the world, because you'll just grab these and just rub it together. Actually, do you know what? You can either rub it together, or with this stuff, what I did quite often was just hold it together with the next little bit and knit them together.
Yeah, just knit it in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's totally fine to do that. And right, and to your second point, for which gauge contrast yarn. Now, contrast yarns and other yarns with this is a huge experiment. And I know some of you that are on here have already discovered this. If you use a heavy yarn or a dense yarn, this isn't going to take the weight of it. So your stitches are going to start sinking and you'll end up with big gaps at the top of where you're using your other yarn.
Right.
So it's a really difficult one to call. You can use other unspun yarns like Manchalope, for example, or you can use silk mohairs, especially something like Le Gros silk and mohair where it's really airy. But anything that's got any density, it's not going to take it.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
if you've got a fingering weight yarn, then I would use a very light, non-superwash treated, airy fingering weight yarn with a thread of mohair, or even two threads of mohair, depending on your personal gauge. So yeah, that's how you should do it to add colour.
What about the yak lace, Millie? Sorry, the yak lace. Would that work?
The Mayak baby lace.
Yeah.
I haven't swatched it. If I used Mayak baby lace, I would probably use two threads of that and a thread of mohair. You want to add fibers that will just add volume without adding too much weight, which is why so I wouldn't add volume with alpaca one, for example. I wouldn't add any alpaca really, because alpaca is just going to get dense and heavy. But I think just from knowing Mayak baby lace, you could use two threads of that. And I know this is a total fact, but I would pre-steam the Mayak baby lace before using it so that it blooms right out and it doesn't cause gauge issues later. So yeah. Lynn, you have your hand up. Let me
Oh yes.
spotlight you.
I've
Hi.
got some of the Gepard cashmere lace to go with it.
Lovely.
Would I
Okay.
need to add in a silk mohair, or would that be
So are you,
okay?
when you're talking about these other yarns, are you talking about holding it together or having it as
Yeah,
a contrast? Oh, together.
yeah.
Okay, so that's the next topic. So
Oh, sorry.
holding, that's all right. No, that's a good, no, just keep asking because I don't know what. So if you're holding this yarn together with anything else, it's gonna take a little bit of practice, because one of the things that I wanted to really tell you about this, and the reason why it's been so hard for me to tell you what the yardage is and why the yardage doesn't match. So, like, for example, I think this one, it said that I needed 1600 meters, and I used like a cake that had 500 meters on it. And the reason is, when you start knitting this, you'll see that well, you won't notice it while you're knitting it, but what it does is it stretches while you knit it. So then when you're holding it together with another yarn that doesn't stretch, which is pretty much every other yarn, it's going to take a little bit of practice and some swatching so that you don't end up with this going baggy beside that. So you just need to figure out the exact right needle size to see how that works. And once you've got that, it's fine. And we've got lots of people that are using it with, like, held together with a yarn. So if you're holding it together with a yarn, then I don't think there's any restriction. I've held it with alpaca one. I've held it with a lace weight silk. I've held it with silk mohair, and I've held it together with a thicker yarn, and it's fine. But I
Yeah.
did have to like swatch it and practice it first. So
Okay,
yeah.
brilliant. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So just on that point, and I know you've got your hand up, Cynthia, the I don't exactly know what the best way to work out what your final yardage on a cake is. I sort of thought to myself, you could like measure it and knit it, swatch it out, and then frog it, and then re-measure it to see how much it's grown. But I still don't think that's like, even when you're measuring it, it's kind of a bit boingy. So that's why I'm a little bit sort of woolly on that. Cynthia, let me spotlight you.
Thank you, Millie. Am I unmuted?
Nope, yeah, you're good. Yeah, you can hear.
There's two things I want to knit, and I've got the lovely yak to do it with. The first is one of the patterns that was in your recommended,
Love that.
by Petite Knit.
And I've got cashmere lace to hold with it
Mhm.
in the two. So I've got two colours, and I've got matching cashmere lace. What I know, I can swatch and experiment, but I wonder whether you could give me any idea what size needles you think would work.
With cashmere lace. I mean, so I've swatched this on anything from like I've got swatches from about 2.75 up to 6 mil, and I personally love it the most on about the 4.5, 5
Okay,
area.
that's
But
what
it
this
is
pattern says, 4.5, so that would be
okay.
fine.
So that's fine. You can just do that.
And then the other pattern,
Oh, is Cynthia frozen or have I frozen?
which I want to do with my almond one, which I just got, is this. Am I there?
Yeah.
Can you see me? Yeah.
One of us is freezing, but yeah.
Hazel pattern by Irene Lynn.
Brilliant.
And this one I've been knitting the yarn on the yak on its own.
Mhm.
And on this one it says 6mm needles, but I can't believe that would be right for the. Would it be okay?
Yeah. You could do a 6 mil needle. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's easy. I'll get on with it then.
All right.
Thank you.
Lovely. You're welcome. The only thing that I will say is that your gauge, each of you, will be very individual with this yarn because it's more susceptible to your own tension and how much you stretch it. So while you're knitting it, so it's like there's not going to be a very prescriptive gauge I can give you. And Cynthia and anyone else that's doing it on a slightly bigger needle, you just need to be a bit more relaxed than you would be on a smaller needle. So yeah, just bear that in mind because you don't want to keep stretching it to the point that it's like really quite fine. You want to let it have volume in each stitch.
By the way, I appreciate you doing this call. It's helpful. Thank you.
Oh yeah, good. I'm glad. Excellent. Lynn, you've still got your hand up. Was that from before or no? That's all right. Okay, just checking. Patricia, you've got your hand up. Let's follow you. Nice to see you, Patricia. Have I seen you before in real life? I don't think I have.
Yeah, I was on the Jessie cow.
Oh, okay. Lovely. I love the colour of your wall.
I've just finished it, and it's now a cardigan, but we won't go into that.
Okay.
I've been very brave and bought the cacao, and I've never used unspun before, but I like to go in at the deep end.
Good.
It's the way I always work on anything.
Yeah.
Everything I found though that I want to do has got cables in, which I know you've said don't use the cacao for, but if I held it together with a cashmere lace or a silk mohair, will that mean I can do some sort of cabling?
I think you can cable. I didn't. I think for some people it would just be really a scary prospect, but because it's you, I would just do it. Like you're happy to experiment, so you can do it with a cashmere lace, or you can even try it without. Like there's cables in Erin, and I gave this some welly. I mean, I was traveling with it, so it got pushed and pulled around all over the place, and it's fine. Like so, the yarn when it's on the cake is weak. Just like any unspun yarn, just anything that is unspun. But as soon as you start knitting it, you apply your own twist to it and it makes it stronger. And when it's in a knit stitch, the fabric is actually quite strong. The only time that it's not going to be I mean, if you did it on a giant, 10mm needle or something, you wouldn't be applying enough twist and it wouldn't be as strong. So I would say just try it, Patricia. See if you prefer it with the cashmere lace or without and go for it.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm more than happy to just go for it
Yeah,
because that's how I do any sort of new kind of skill.
Yeah,
going at the deep end.
Yeah, and then you're the expert immediately, and you can just crack on. So yeah, go for it. It is unbelievably soft. Like this is wicked soft. But this, when people grab it and hold it, they like gasp and they're just like, "What the hell?" So yeah,
that's what I did, and I've banned the other half from going anywhere near it.
Okay, good. But it's softer after it's blocked than it is even on a cake. Like it is unbelievable.
And is it when it's knitted up really strong?
It would not hold up if you were climbing through bushes. I know Elizabeth likes to do that in her jumpers, so it won't hold up to that. But yeah, it's strong. Like it will take, yeah.
That's okay.
It's strong. It's not like it is. It's not like it is on the cake.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Right, Emma, you've got your hand up. Hi, Emma.
Hi. Hi. I've never knit with unspun before, so I'm expecting quite a bit of breakage probably at first.
Uh-huh.
Is there a way of splicing it together easily, or do you just, if it breaks, do you just then carry on
Yeah, you can either
again?
just rub it together,
Yeah.
like because it is a wool. So yak is a naturally felting fiber, just like most wools are when you're not super wash treating them. So if you just got the two strands that broke, and
Yeah.
sometimes it will just be one strand that breaks, so then you just grab one off the cake. And if it is one strand that breaks, so if I show you on this one,
Yeah.
like if I had my knitting and this was like there was that one strand that broke there, I wouldn't try and sort of force two strands of different lengths together from the cake. I just lose, like I just figure out where they next are together coming off the cake and just lose that bit and like
Yeah.
rub together the two. It's just easier that way. But also, like I said earlier, you can just hold like that sort of length together with whatever length you've got on your needles and just duplicate like the
Yeah.
stitches with double yarn. So that would just mean undoing 3 or 4 stitches and then just blotting this in and knitting them together.
Yeah. Okay. Got
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
It's literally as easy as that. And then once you've knit it and you've blocked it, it will partially felt. So there won't be like weird ends or weakness or anything like that. It will all just work.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Welcome. Leslie.
Oh, yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I've started on Erin.
Great.
Here we go.
Lovely.
Not so good. And I wanted to add just some little dashes of colour.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love
so
your nails.
I've got this chaos, and I split it to try and get, a comparable weight.
Oh, is that the chunky
I'll only
chaos?
be able to do little lengths.
Is that the chunky or the
Yes,
skinny?
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, the chunky's quite dense, yeah.
Yeah, so it's but it's got the lightness. I wonder, do you think that will work?
If you untwist it. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if you untwist it.
The other thing
Тут меня надо.
Sorry, the other thing
Julia, that's you.
say-
I'm going to mute you.
Hi, Julia.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to say was I've reversed the pattern because you said it grew quite a lot when you blocked it.
You've what the pattern?
I'm working from the bottom up rather than the top down because I thought
On the
what I'd
Erin?
do was I'd knit the sleeves and the body and then block them and see what length I'd got before I did the yoke.
Ah, okay.
How much did you get? An awful lot of extra on yours when you did that?
Like how much did it grow?
Yeah,
a lot. Yeah.
It did.
So if you look on my Ravelry page, I've got pictures before blocking and pictures after
Oh,
blocking.
lovely. I'll look
And
at
you'll
that.
be able to see, how much it grew. And it's not one where you really get that much choice on the growth. So it's not like some yarns where you can just pull the crap out of them to make them a lot bigger. It will grow and you can't prevent that with this. It just blooms. It just like the blocking is like one of the best processes with this because you'll just see it will take on a whole sink full of water and hold it, and then you'll go like this and it'll just let it go. It's amazing. And then it dries in one night. It's phenomenal.
Oh my goodness.
But,
so I just thought that way I'd get a better idea of the fit before I did the yoke.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, and it will, and also bear in mind that it will grow width-wise as well.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
And actually, this is my first go with unspun, and it's fine. It's fine.
Good.
And whoever was talking about cables, these little twists, as long as you're careful, as long as you don't just try and do it without thinking about it, they were fine.
Yeah, they're cute little twists. Can I just also say, so on the Erin, in case anyone is planning on doing it, hang on, let me just remove your spotlight, Leslie, so that I've got the screen. I know some people have sort of asked, how did I do the colour without doing intarsia? So I didn't do like that's just another level of like you don't want unspun and then bobbins, and I mean that would just be too much. So all I did, it almost ends up like a little I cord. It's there's nothing fancy. So I knit in the round and I just did 4 stitches in the pink, and then I carried on going in the round. And when I got round this way, the pink got pulled back to the start of the 4 stitches. So it ends up sort of becoming a mini icon. I did leave on purpose some slack in my mini, like in the back. So that's the wrong side of my earring. So that's sort of the length of thread that I've got, but which means that it was a nice sort of big round I-cord instead of something very tight. But you could make it, I mean, even a tight I-cord would look amazing in there. So yeah, that's all I did.
That's lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Patricia, you've got your hand up again. Let me add you.
Sorry, I've just thought
That's
of
right.
another question, and it might be a silly one, but is it better to do a jumper top down with no seaming, or would a pattern with where you've got to do some seaming give it structure? Which one would be best?
So for this year, so normally if it was just an alpaca, and I know that the yak isn't a million miles off really. Well, no, it is quite different. You would want the seam for the structure, for the growth. And yes, this does grow, but it's too light to be a problem for it to be knit in the round. Is the unless you made it maybe, you know, dress length right down to your feet, it's just not going to grow like beyond the first block. So either, and if you are seaming, then don't, this sounds really odd, but don't use the yak to do your sewing of your seams. Just don't.
Okay.
It won't work.
I can imagine that would be quite not even the help of a G&T would help that one.
No. And I was thinking about, like, for purists, if they didn't want to use another fibre at all and then he had to do some sewing, how would they do it? And the only way that I can think of is to stab felt the 2 seams together. And I think that's the only way that you could manage it without another yarn. But otherwise, I'd just use like a lace weight cashmere or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've done the stab felting before. It's quite effective on Pharaoh.
Yeah. No. And you could stab felt your seams with this if you needed to, but they would be bulky.
Yeah, they would, wouldn't they? Okay. Thanks. Great.
Welcome. Sheila. I don't know if that's how I say your name. I'm gonna have you.
Yeah, Sheila.
It's you, Sheila. Wait, that's not how you're
me.
spelling your name when you're on your orders.
That's the Gaelic spelling.
Oh, very nice. I like it.
That's the Gaelic spelling, and because I do a lot of Gaelic Zoom chats, that's why that's there.
Oh,
and it's come through, you know.
Very cool.
Anyway, a couple of us on the chat were just saying that we're interested in hearing a little bit more about the dazzler. I would like to do the dazzler. I'd like to do the plainest, simplest pattern. So a dazzler without the dazzle would just suit me fine. But we were wondering if you would mention what needles you used and what size you went for on the dazzler.
I'd have to look on my Ravelry page. All that information is in there.
Is it all that? Oh, right. Okay, right. I can look there then.
So have a look at the Ravelry page. I think from memory, I went down 1 or 2 needle sizes and I sized up, I think, to a size 3 on mine. So yeah. And while we're talking dazzler, then Sheila, let me just if anyone needs to know, it doesn't have to be the dazzler. You could get any, I mean, there's other colorwork patterns that I've put in that little pattern link in on the webpage. I've got suggested patterns on Ravelry for the yak. And I've put some other ones in there that I found recently that are yoked with all over colorwork. And you could use those as well if you wanted to do this sort of weird like partial thing that I did. And it's so simple because you've seen how easily the yarn rips. So I would just get to this bit and I would just rip the yarn and carry on knitting the rest of it without it. And then I'd get back round to the next bit of the next round and I would join it in again. And I played with joining it in different areas, and I played with joining one strand at a time because I was just experimenting with how it looked and I didn't want it to be too much of a straight line. And then I did the same at this end. So I played with phasing it out with a longer strand and phasing it out with just a short strand, or one, like there I used just one strand to hold together for that bit to make it a bit more blurry. And then the only other real change I made was that for the dazzler is I transitioned to like a different main color at this point down here because I thought I was gonna totally run out of this, and turns out I didn't run out of it. So, and because I was playing yarn, or I just didn't know how far the yarn would go, I knit this whole sleeve, which was so boring first. But also talking about knitting in the round on sleeves, it isn't the easiest thing. This sleeve was okay, but it's not particularly easy to magic loop a fragile yarn and do color work at the same time. So if you are doing something like this, you might want to do that sleeve first to just get used to magic looping and having it like not break at the magic loop ends. You just need to, I would just get a cable that is definitely long enough to not add any tension at your loops. So nothing really, really short, but also you don't want to go so long that it keeps snaggling up on everything. So you want to be fussy about that. Or if you can bear it, move to DPNs, some short DPNs, and use that for your sleeves.
Did you carry the yarns behind?
Yeah, it's stranded. Yeah, yeah. Let me
rather
turn it
than-
inside out. And what? Sorry, by behind, what do you?
Did you float them as you
Yeah.
as you use the white and the brown? Did you float the white?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another way of doing it. So that's the.
I didn't, because I know you said don't do intarsia, like don't do bobbins and things like that.
I mean, you
That's what
could.
I meant.
You can if you want. For me, like, because for the erin, I already had cables and bobbins. Anyway, I didn't want to go there. But for this is just stranded color work, so that's what it looks on the wrong side. And then those bits where I ripped the white, you can just see,
Yeah,
like it's just ripped and
so
it's not going anywhere.
so neat.
Thank you. Yeah. So, and then that's the color work sleeve, and that took a bit more practice. And I did think that if I hadn't really got the hang of this sleeve doing it with magic looping, and I didn't use DPNs, I magic looped, then I would have just knit it flat and seamed it if it was just becoming a faff. I quite often prefer to knit my sleeves flat and seam them because sometimes they get a bit tighter if I'm knitting in the round on some sleeves. So knitting flat sleeves is always a good option for me, but it might not be for you. So, right. Cynthia, you have your hand up. You're just muted right now. There you go. Oh, yeah.
I forgot to ask, and what you said earlier about the blooming reminded me. I presume I shouldn't knit my usual size when choosing a size from the pattern because it's going to widen and lengthen in both of those patterns I showed you. It's particularly the lacy one.
Well, it will feel tighter before you block it. So I think you can go with your normal size. You just need to bear in mind that when you're trying it on, it's going to feel shrunken, and you need to remember that it will grow.
Okay, so stick with the normal size and expect it to change when it's blocked.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Leave that. Tim, I don't think you are Tim, but I'm going to spotlight
Beverly.
Hi,
it's Bev. Just use
Hi, Beverly.
So I bought mine last week. I was in the shop last week and bought mine. So I'm going to knit a ranunculus just on its own without any other wool added. I've knit a ranunculus before. Would I need to change the size because it was going to get bigger after it was blocked?
No, that's pretty much like, I think what you can do is just expect that it's going to be smaller before you block it on your needles. It's going to look smaller. So you if you've done ranunculus before, I've done loads of them, you kind of know what size it's going to be at a given point. And you might find with this yarn that you're looking at it going, fuck, it's tiny. Just remember that it's going to grow. And the are you planning on doing it on a 6mm needle?
I think so. I mean, that should be fine, shouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's important for you all to, and I know some of you hate this, but it is quite important with this yarn to maybe just experiment on needle size and look at the fabric, because you'll each have your sweet spot where you're like, this is the one. And with the ranunculus, it's very easy for you to go down to say a 4.5 or a 5 if you prefer that fabric, and then just choose a different size and go from there. So
I might do that. Yeah, and I'm not knitting sleeves with it, so that should be a little bit easier.
Oh, so yeah, much easier. Yeah, and ranunculus looks great, like boxier or what. I mean, it's just a great fit. It's a great pattern. So get the fabric that you enjoy and do that for your needle size.
Right, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. iPhone EDTR2. I'm going to spotlight you. Hello? You are still muted at the minute. You're still muted. No. Have a play, and then shout at me when you've unmuted yourself, and I'll spotlight you. Olympia, you've got your hand up as well. Olympia, I've spotlighted you and you are muted as well. Oh, there you go. You've unmuted.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Back to the seaming question. To use that yarn for seams, could you spin it and then use it for seaming?
Yeah, you could. And you can twizzle it. If any of you got one of those old Barbie Twizzlers, you can put it on that and twizzle it up. And yeah, you could do that. You could even plait it and then use it for seaming if you wanted to. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Olympia.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Right. So hang on, let's move this. EDTR2, I don't know what your name is, but you are still muted. So just unmute yourself and shout at me when you need to speak. And is there anyone else? I don't see anyone else with hands up right now. So unspotlight myself. Does anyone have any questions in the chat or anything else that we need to deal with tonight? Jane, you've got your hand up.
Hello.
Hello.
I just want you to tell me how you came to make this yarn and how you were at this yarn, because I know you're very passionate about it. I just want to hear how you got to it.
So it started with Manchalopi way back, and I didn't really have any. I loved it, and I didn't think there needed to be any additions to Manchalopi, except that I wanted more colours, and then thankfully they did add a few more colours. But then I had customers who still found it a bit scratchy, and I thought it was such a shame. And it's so good, like an unspun yarn. Right, okay, and before Manchalopi, well, for me anyway, there was only ever Lopi that was genuinely scratchy, like the Lopi stuff, and that was the only unspun that I'd ever come across, and probably lots of you. And it was great, mega warm, but like scratchy, and you had to wear some layers, and it's not for everyone. So then Manchalopi came along, and I've been in love with that ever since. Those guys let me like try it years ago, and then after, so it wasn't at that point, but for quite a long time, I've been looking for, right, I need to do my own yarns. I need to figure out a way of being a bit more profitable and not relying on other. Like the big frustration for me was that I'd invest in a yarn that was someone else's, make a design for it or loads of samples or lead a cal or whatever, and then it would be discontinued, and it was just like thousands of hours just down the tube. So getting my own yarns was always priority. And so I thought, and up here, and then after we moved, I'm like, okay, I've got, and when you buy your own yarn, you've got to buy sort of at least 30 kilos of each color. And like that's a minimum. And it's usually quite a lot higher than that. So it's not something I could have really done in London. I wouldn't have had space. So like in anticipation of moving up here, I'd started to travel around and visit lots of mills that I knew were reputable and old and had like great sourcing. And I talked to a lot of them about like, what have you got that's unique? What's something that no one else is doing?
In the UK?
No. I did approach a load of UK mills in Yorkshire, but they were just doing what everyone was doing, and it just didn't interest me. Like it was all the same. They were like, you can take this yarn and put your own label on it, but I was like, but I've seen that in 20 different. So I wasn't interested in that. And I wanted to get something more innovative and add something to, because I just wanted to add like a new experience. And so I've probably got, I want to say maybe 30 different yarns that I'm sampling and playing with right now that are new and different, and it's which one do I invest in? And it's such a huge financial risk because I've got to buy so much, and I've got to pay the mill to develop it in the first place. So so this one I've been looking for forever, and I asked every mill, like, what I want is a luxury fibre, and I want you to make it unspun. And I was like, can we do it with cashmere? And pretty much every door was slammed in my face for all of it. They were like, no, there's no, like, there's a lot of technical reasons why they can't do it. But then I finally found these guys, and they thought I was bonkers but they said that they're willing to give it a go, and they did, and then they produced these cakes for me, and they sent them to me, and they were like, "See, it's not usable. What are you going to do with that?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, this is exactly what I wanted." And initially, they said they could make one color for me in bright red, and I just thought that's so cool. But now they've said they can't do colors, so anyway. So yeah, that's kind of it, and I love unspun. And the other thing that added to my unspun like thing, my love affair with stuff that's not really spun, was when I experienced art yarns that they are spun, but they're so loosely spun that they don't behave like other yarns. So if you've used like Ensemble Light, for example, there's like that one strand of loosely applied cashmere with a strand of loosely applied silk, and it is thin as you like. You look at it and you think that's barely light fingering, but then I'm knitting it on a 5mm needle and it's amazing. And so, and yet I could go down and make socks with it on a 2.75 if I wanted to. So for me, it was just that sort of like, right, if we can be more gentle with these yarns, we get a lot more flexibility, and there's more space for the fibers to breathe, and the whole journey to non-superwashing has been quite new in the industry as well, and I hate superwash. I always have. So back in the day when everything was acrylic or superwash treated, you couldn't do any of this, but now that we're letting natural fibers be natural fibers, like, we can really benefit from it. So then with the yak, when I'd asked if we could have yak, because cashmere was just not very affordable, really. They'd all said to me, yak fibers are really short, and they are very short. So this isn't going to work. Like, you just can't. And then they were like, the really, really high end, longest, best yak fibers, all they're all snafu'd by the high end fashion industry every year in Italy. It's really hard to get hold of. But we got some. I couldn't get much. Like, what I've got is what I've got, and then I'll try and get some more next time. But so these are the longest, strongest, loveliest high end fibers, and that's how. Anyway, it was a lot of begging, basically.
Brilliant. Oh, that's
right.
That's so interesting, because I'd not. I mean, you may have done some of that on some of your packing lives or whatever, but I
don't think I have.
dipping in and out of them because I'm always working when you do them, and it's really nice to hear that.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for asking. I haven't tackled it because, for the longest time it was only available for people that had donated to the row, and I just thought it would piss everyone off if I talked about it too much, so I just didn't.
It's great. Just also, there's loads of stuff in the chat.
Oh, okay, right. Does anyone want to verbalize it? Because I don't want to sit here and read.
Do some of it for you. This is what I end up doing at work. Will we be able to continue to order it?
Yeah. So what's happening with it is, I've got what I've got for now, and when it's gone, well, before it runs out, so maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe I will contact the mill and get them to start sourcing the fiber for me again, because it's something that they have to work hard at sourcing, and then when they've got it, they can spin it for me and send it. So it will never be a completely seamless supply. And so when we've got it, we've got it. And then the other thing to bear in mind is, because it's undyed and natural, there might be color variations between lots. So when this lot runs out, the next lot might be a slightly different shade. And I kind of secretly want them to do lots of shorter lots for me, because I really like those transition cakes. But they only can ever give me 10 of them at a time. So they're just going to be a specialist item that I don't know what I'm going to. But I'm really looking forward to going from I've got a transition cake that goes from that to that, and I can use it in the middle here to so that's exciting.
Brilliant.
Yes.
There's a question from Tracy, I think it's from. Do you knit with both strands of the yak at the same time with the Erin pattern?
Yes. I have not even swatched with one strand. I haven't pulled them apart. I've only ever used both strands together. I don't think it's strong. I don't know, try it, but I haven't done it. So yes, everything that I would knit with this is both strands together. And you could take both strands together and put it on a really tiny needle and it will squish down. So I don't think that you should maybe pull them apart necessarily, unless you're doing transitions. And then you could maybe have one strand of that color and one of a darker for a section to transition them.
And I feel like I'm reading all questions out the chat here. What was the pink yarn you used in the Erin sweater?
That was Merino Cloud.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think some of the ones further up have been answered by people, but if not, people just
okay. And maybe there might be some questions that would be answered by looking at the Ravelry project for these. While we're on Ravelry, actually, could I ask all of you a really big favor? And if you knit with it and have a project, could you stick it on Ravelry? Because it's such a new yarn that there's no projects on there apart from mine and a couple of others, which is lovely. So yeah, add your projects and it's also a way of, if you write your notes, then people can get more education about how to use the yarn or how it can be used. So yeah. iPhone EDTR, you are unmuted. Let me add you.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, Estelle. Yeah, I've been knitting a lot with pre-spun yarn, like Nutiden and Le Plötulopi. I haven't tried Manchalopi. This is knitted with the pre-spun yarn. So I was wondering, how does this yak behaves compared to pre-spun yarn from sheep? Is it as fragile? How does it behave?
So it is much softer. And so I would say like the dark brown cacao is more fragile, and then the other colors there's not so much difference. The big difference is that you need to remember that the yak fiber is quite a lot shorter than any of the fibers used in those other unspun yarns, and those other unspun yarns that are on the market, they use a fleece that's generally got a very crimped and long fiber in order to give it that extra strength. So how that works in practice is that you can pull this apart more easily, but also it's more prone to stretch because that bit of fiber that's in that section there isn't touching that section there, so it will experience more stretch. Like all unspun yarns will stretch, but this one is possibly a little bit stretchier. But it's really something that is going to be quite different for every knitter because we all add our own twist while we're knitting as well, depending on your method of twisting. And when you do that with this, it's going to change the gauge and the way that it knits up. So yeah.
So that's really interesting because this is double color. So I had to finish it off with kitchen stitch. You can't do that with unspun yarn. It's no way you can do.
Yeah.
So I spun it.
You
so
can.
I
mean, I have.
feeling.
I did it with Manchalopi and I did a sewn bind off and it took forever. I was twisting between every single stitch. So you can do it.
No, but I spun. I have a spinning.
Oh, you've been spinning it. Yes, you do.
Yeah, so I
spin it.
spun it.
And that's what I did when I did the sewn bind off. I just twisted it as I went.
No,
and
I
then
started doing that and it took ages, so I just went
it does take ages.
It.
Yeah, it does. You've got to be really patient.
I found this was really hardy. So it's really airy to knit with. It doesn't feel, and when you wear it, kind of felt. So it's really hardy. I have a friend, she made socks in unspun yarn. So it's the same thing with the yak. It's as hardy once it's knitted. It's really
strong. Yeah, and compared to like weight to strength ratio, it's unbelievable. So with all unspuns, like they're not immune to pilling. They will pill. All fibers will pill. And if the less that you spin it, the more likely it is to pill a little bit. I haven't experienced any pill with this yet, but I've probably only worn each of these maybe 10 times. So they haven't had anything like that. But they don't look like they're going to. But they will with wear become stronger because they will start to felt up a little bit. So then they get a bit stronger.
So it will grow once you block. But once it has been blocked once, if you have to wash it again, it won't move.
No, it won't move after that. And all the stitches will be locked together by then. So
so you say it grows what, 10% a size?
That's hard to gauge. No, I'd say it was more than that. Mine definitely felt like it was slightly more than 10%. Yeah. I don't think anything, and there's very few items that have only grown 10% on blocking when it's me. Maybe that's just me.
So if you wanted a medium size, you would knit a small size in that case? Or?
Yeah, I guess so. You'd maybe go down 1 or 2 sizes. But like I said earlier, I would knit the size you want and just know that it's too small while you're knitting it. So it's just a case of not freaking out when it looks too little, because you know. But I wouldn't be like, I wouldn't knit a size that looked like it was the exact right size pre-blocking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Leslie, let me spotlight you. Hi, Leslie.
Hello. You spoke earlier about if you needed to take stitches back. What is your best advice for having to undo?
Frogging. Oh, it frogs easily. It's fine. Yeah, it's not a problem. In fact, it's totally fine. The yarn, and whenever I've frogged and I've knit loads of swatches with the same piece of yarn, it frogs back really easily. And I also can do that thing where I just pull a whole bunch off the needle and they just stay, and you just sort of gently pull them out and stick your needle back through. So it's fine. They can handle it.
Okay, great.
It's not really like, one of the things that's always a problem when you're frogging is if you've got a yarn where you quite often split the yarn. And then you're frogging back through split, and this stuff doesn't split that easily. Like, it's not something that really gets splitty. When I did some of the little cables on Erin, I know that I sort of split them and caught them a little bit sometimes, but even then, when I frogged that back, it was fine. So yeah, I wouldn't worry.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Welcome. Susan. Hello.
Hey, Millie, how are you?
Hi. Well, how are you?
Good. Thanks for doing this again. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I am thinking about the agave.
Ooh. That looks like a dando. But I
Yes,
can't see the pattern.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's the one with the lace motif.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What are your thoughts about, because the holes are sizable? What are your thoughts about that? Any
I think it'll be all right.
concerns?
No.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, I'd go for it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Will do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cynthia.
Sorry, it's me again. I don't know whether you're able to say or whether you know yet.
Where are you? You've disappeared. Anyway, carry on talking. I'll find you.
Do you know what you're going to knit next with this?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Because we're all rushed to look at it, obviously.
So I'm experimenting with something that isn't a written pattern, and it's a sort of thing where it's a technique that I'm hoping that you can, like with Dazzler. This is obviously not my pattern, but it's a technique that you can apply to any color work sweater. So here's my thoughts, and then this is why I've got the art yarn single silk, is that I want to do like and I've been practicing with a top that is raglan, where I am doing part of it in just this really thin strand of silk and then holding the yak together for a bit of it, so it almost looks like I've got like a sort of nudie mesh bit along here, and then I've got jumper there, kind of thing, if that makes sense. And because that's a really thin, it almost looks sort of meshy, evening-y silk, and then jumper. And then obviously I'll get like the thicker, like with the yak across my boobs or wherever I want to hide my bra. And then I might go a little bit thinner in sections across the belly, but I haven't gotten that for that bit yet.
Sounds far too sexy.
Yeah, well, I mean, that
it really is buff, Millie.
That's what?
Really
in the
is
buff.
buff.
Yeah, if I just like did this bit in the lace and then the rest of it but yeah, I'm trying to think of things that really take advantage of the ease of ripping it and having no ends. And then there's another pattern that I just found a couple of nights ago on Ravelry, where they've got, it's sort of like oh, somebody's talking again. If that's you can mute yourself. I can't find it. Yulia, it's you again. I'm going to mute you again. I've done it. So it's got like almost, it's very complicated color work, but it's got these like, I'm not describing it well, but it's sort of got slits of color that come along, and you do normal color work normally, so you've got these sort of long slits of color. And I've been thinking about how I could just, instead of having like the strands behind, have this gauzy, slightly more gauzy fabric like a silk mo, and then use this So like intarsia, but not with bobbins, just like bits that dangle down, and as I get to it, I'll just catch it on that bit. Anyway, so I'm just thinking about, because then I could just have rips of bits and just play with it as I go and add another sort of stripe of yak. So yeah, all that kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of places where we could benefit from that kind of thing. Yeah.
I'll have to get Darren to take all the yak in the buff samples to where you end up at the end of the rowing race, so you can show them off.
Take them on the boat in the tropics. No, I think it's the one yarn I don't want in the tropics.
Over to your landing point.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe we could all go there and have a big party. That would be nice. In Antigua. Right. So yeah. Oh, Michelle, you've got your hand up. Let me answer you first.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi.
Just a quick question. And I have my halibut, which I hadn't
Lovely.
finished, so I finally got it done.
Yay! Congrats.
Yeah. I'm looking at doing the Elena, and I have this beautiful orange skein of Silk Daydream. Is that too heavy to put in the color, you think, for the color work?
Oh, for Elena. Do you mean which
Yeah.
what in what?
It's
Elena?
the by Junko. It's the you made one, I think, with the
Oh,
big
Elena.
yeah.
That's a good question.
It's got a little bit of color work through. It's not.
It does. I used Silk Daydream in mine, and I knit mine with Manjalopi, so I can't see why it wouldn't work. Yeah. I don't know. You're gonna have to try it.
Yeah, I think I might put some into my swatch and see.
Yeah, have a look and block your swatch and just see if it's dragging the stitches down. And if it's doing that, then you can't. The reason why I think it might work for Elena is that the needles are a lot smaller, so it won't stress the yak as much as if you did it on a big needle.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at using, I don't know what the European size is. It's
I think it's like a 3 or 3.25.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
right now I'm doing a swatch on a US 6 and it's a 4.
On a 4 mil. Yeah, I'd go down.
Yeah, go down even more, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I was also debating putting a silk mohair in with that. So that would give it a little
help. Yeah, that would definitely help. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Have fun.
Cool.
It's a nice pattern. I love mine.
Yeah.
So just while I've got you all, and I'll just be really quick. Oh, Ellen, let me deal with you first. Hi. Oh, you're muted, Ellen.
There we go.
There you
I
go.
feel like I'm probably the most inexperienced of all the knitters on here, but I'm so impressed with everybody. And just the questions, I'm going, oh my God. I'm basically getting the idea that there are no rules, that you can pretty much go with any needle size as long as you can hit the gauge. Because as we're on, I looked at your Raspberry page for the Dazzler and the one that you just finished, the Erin, which I love. You could just send me the sweater and that would be great. And I don't know what, you didn't put the needle size down for the Dazzler, but I'm assuming they're on different needle sizes.
Did I not put the needle size in the thing?
Not on the Dazzler, on the other one.
Oh,
I was surprised it
sorry.
was on such a little needle. I tried to avoid little needles just because I'm so slow.
I can't remember. I'll look it up. I've got my notes on my Dazzler, but I definitely went down. Where did I write it? I wrote it on something. Maybe it was in my newsletter. I put what the needle size was. So I'll go and have another look at that. But yeah, there's not, I mean, my perfect yarn in the world is one that breaks all the rules. So I would just break the rules and do what you want to do.
Okay. I like that. That works for me.
Good.
Great.
Rules were never written for me anyway. Yeah, I just wanted to also say while I've got you, I had this like idea because I've got all these other yarns in sort of lab status so I'm going to start. Okay, listen, I've got in my head, I've got more time than I have, but one of the things that is on my plate to start is like a group of us that will be like the Tribe Knit Lab. And when I get these special yarns, because I can only get a few of them, we'll have some sort of club thing where it goes out to those of us that are like Tribe Lab people, and we all get to work with them and have feedback and have regular Zoom sessions and stuff. So what I'm saying is that if you're interested in that, then can you just sort of periodically hound me to remind me that I need to be setting that up so that I can get these yarns like going, because they're sat there in my list of my giant pile of stuff to do. So yeah, that's like I just think it would be a really fun thing for me and good for Tribe because it's kind of what we do is break the rules. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Excellent.
Good. Great.
Any more questions from anyone?
Yes, sorry, I can't get my hand to raise. I'm
Teresa. There
Yeah.
you are. Let me spotlight you. Hi.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask about the sweater you're wearing. I love it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is the Islington sweater. We've got kits on the website. It's something that I wear a lot. And it's made of woolstock tweed and it's brilliant. It's a brilliant jumper. Look, this is what it looks like. Just very comfy. So yeah.
I'll have a look for the kit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just one other thing about the dazzler. Yes, because I wanted to ask the question about the needles size. So, because I've got everything that I want, but I want to get
So do
started.
you guys know what the dazzler is supposed to be knit on? Is it a 6 for the sniff nook or something like that? I can't remember. I haven't got Ravelry open, so
4.5 and 5.
oh, is it? Is it on
Yeah.
a 4.5 and 5?
I
Oh,
think
then I didn't change needles then. Because
So
that
you-
would have been, or maybe I did 4 and 4.5. I just need to go back and look at the newsletter. But
Okay.
I thought I went down and that's why I went up a size. Pretty sure I knit a size 3. I'll go back and look at my notes.
Right.
And then I'll update the Ravelry page with whatever's correct.
In the American size, it says it's an 8 and a 9.
Like the actual pattern.
The actual pattern says an 8
So
and a
that
9.
is an 8 and a 9 is a 5
So
and a
5
5.5.
millimeter and a 5.5. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That I'm sure I didn't use a 5.5. I'm sure.
Okay.
Okay. That was my
Yeah.
question anyway.
But definitely like do your own swatching and see like how you're like I think that with this yarn you're not going to be someone that can knit tight with it and it's not going to be a risk, so we'll probably all get slightly closer to gauge than we otherwise would have done. It won't take your stress. It will force you to have a glass of wine and chill the fuck out. It will just do that, so that's a good thing. It's like therapy. Oh, Estelle, that was your name, wasn't it? Let me spotlight you.
Hi. Just harking back to the Tribe Lab, because I love that idea. I'm so much in fiber. I mean, this is in the making, but where do you want us to kind of sign up for it?
To hassle me? Just like comment on my Instagram post and say,
Okay.
hey, I haven't seen this Tribe Lab thing yet. Like, what are you doing? So yeah, that.
Okay.
And I just want it to become a little bit of a movement and where we can maybe get together and like, just have a like, geek out in a good way about weird things.
Because I'm very much in testing different fibers, like the 100% spun silk. We talked about it. I tipped you off before the Hamburg fair. My Instagram handle is knitting as meditation.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I used to knit with banana, with milk protein.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've done that too. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
it's
really
great.
fun. And reindeer. And so I'm very much in this.
Dogs. We done dogs yet?
Dogs. And I have my own dog. So
okay,
I have spun my own dog's hair fur. And
wow.
Yeah, that was fun. It's a
hardcore.
mix of an Australian and the border's a lot of fur. And so I think it's heaps of stuff.
Yeah, there's loads.
No limit. Sky's the limit.
Yeah.
But
the other thing that I really want to get into is like also just breaking the fashion rules. And you guys that are on my cows, you know this. Like patterns are just there as a suggestion and you can just go your own way with it. And so I want to spend time with I just want to break a lot of rules. So yeah. Right. Thank you, all of you. I don't want to keep you very much longer unless Joanna, hello. You are muted. So it's such a thing on Zoom, isn't it? You'd think it'd be a big red "you were muted" button, but it's not. Right, you work on unmuting yourself. And is there anything that I have missed in the chat that I really need to deal with, or are we good to go?
Yeah, we're done.
We're done. Excellent. All right, Joanna, if you can unmute yourself, good. If not, you can send a message.
Here we go.
Or
Right.
something.
Sorry.
Okay, excellent.
God, so many things to press, and I couldn't find it. I haven't made many clothes, so I'm a bit of a novice at this. What I'm not clear about is if I'm swatching to get gauge, then I don't understand how that works if it's going to stretch.
You need to block your swatch.
So I will need to block it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always block your swatch. If you're going to go to the bother of making a swatch, and it is a bother, then always block it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And usually you need to make a swatch that's big enough that it will really show you what it's like with the weight of a garment. But this stuff just doesn't weigh anything, so you don't have to go crazy big with your swatches. You'll get the idea. Make sure that you've got a nice loose cast on and a loose bind off to give it room to move so you can measure it properly.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah, you'll be good.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome. Liz, you have your hand up. Hello.
On mute. Yeah.
There. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, this is great. Enjoying it
Cool.
very much. Love the stuff. And I did a swatch. I was wondering, did you swatch in the round?
No, I didn't. I
Oh,
should, but I go down. I know that I go down half a needle size when I purl to mimic swatching in the round for me. Yeah.
Okay. Right, because of rowing out.
Yeah, so I'm always a little bit looser on my purl size. So
Yeah.
when I knit in the round and I'm doing all knit stitches, for me, when I mimic that on a flat swatch, I go down half a needle size for my purl.
Okay.
So with an interchangeable, I've just got a different one at each end. Yeah.
Right, because when I blocked this, it went up a little bit, but not hugely.
It looks like your I don't know what the top edge is, but it looks tight.
No.
Is it tight? No? Oh, okay. And it didn't it didn't grow that much? That's surprising.
Actually, when you pull it, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Quite
Mine
elastic.
grew. Mine
Yeah.
definitely, like it definitely like got floppier and grew. But
I didn't pin it, you see. I didn't pin
no,
it.
yeah, I didn't pin mine either.
But yeah, okay, and this was
Did you?
though.
Sometimes with swatches, they're better off dried vertically as well. So like sort of
Hanging up.
on the washing. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean I don't peg it, but you just sort of put it on a washing line and let it just
There's no weight in this though.
No, there's no way at all. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
lovely. Okay, grand. Thank you, Millie. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I must go.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I gotta go as well. So thank you for joining. I will send the link to this. I mean, you're all here, so you don't need to watch it, but just so that you know that your faces will appear on other people's screens. And please add your projects and keep commenting on my lives and whatnot, and just share your projects because I'll keep posting them to my stories and stuff. So thank you.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Millie.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.